Hello, hello, beautiful, beautiful community. I hope you guys are doing well. I am Happy New Year or whatever you celebrate, all the things, all the holidays. I hope it was beautiful and blissful. Um, I've been guided to really follow the waves of this energy that is very restorative, very internal, very up for review, everything in your life, being with yourself, being with the quiet, being with the stillness, embracing, allowing what is. So things are shifting and things are changing very rapidly. And whenever that occurs, it's very hard to get a grasp and it's very hard to take action because the energies are changing so quickly that the second that you are taking action correctly, the energy then shifts, right? So even doing like readings at this time are really interesting, especially collective readings, because it's not all going to mesh because things are changing so rapidly for everybody. The personal readings that, you guys have booked and stuff and that I have coming to you that are just behind this month, that's a little bit different because we can go in and get a little bit more of a specific snapshot. But just know that even a reading that we do today, the energies are shifting so quickly that in a day or two, it could be very different. So keeping that in mind. This is just a little welcome message. Welcome to 2023. Welcome to January. We're here. We did it. I know some of you are really feeling good and feeling this absolute kind of blissful state of receiving all the hard work that you've put in, all of the dedication and commitment and devotion that you've offered yourself, most importantly, but the commitments in your life and this journey, it's all getting manifest in this year. I really see that for many of us, where it really comes full circle, and the blind faith that we've been required to have finally kind of makes sense, and the pieces fit together. And I know some of you are struggling right now as well, and part of that struggle is the rapid, quick pace to get you where you need to be to receive. Okay. So trusting and allowing. The word or the phrase that I heard right before I started recording, because this was the whole idea of this message was just, I wanted to check in. I wanted to give you guys a heart pulse, connect with you, and let you know, this month we have things coming. They're going to be in the Patreon, I think toward the second half. So it would probably be towards the end of this month, because Mars comes out of retrograde. And again, like I said, I'm just kind of flowing with the energies and trusting the divine timing of it. So I think I shared with you guys that things would be changing in the Patreon. We'd be doing more live and community events and things like that moving into the new year. And I wasn't sure if we'd started at the end of January or kind of like more February. So we're playing it by ear, but just know that I will begin to start setting up kind of like schedules, like loose schedules of how it's going to look. So that's coming. And I just kind of wanted to give you that update. But then right before I hit record, I heard forest fire. It's a forest fire. And so I want to just channel that for a moment, to be of support for some of you who might be feeling a darkness or might be feeling an intensity, or, I know I've just had a couple sessions with some of you that, yeah, and maybe for some of you, it doesn't feel as extreme as like a heavy darkness, but it feels like the light is turned off, right? So the guidance is maybe quiet, and, you feel like you're fumbling around in the dark. You don't really know what's going on. So the message I got was a forest fire, and a natural forest fire. We don't really know what those are like anymore. Many of them are manipulated, but let's just talk about natural ones for a second. The intention is purification for the forest, right? The health of the forest, to start anew. It's this death process and how necessary the death process is in order for the forest to be its optimal health and the natural sort of balance, equilibrium. And the only way out is through, right? You can't run from a forest fire. I mean, some animals are able to, but the trees can't run, right? The brush and the vegetation can't run. They just must endure and allow themselves to be transmuted through that process, that alchemical process. And it's after a forest fire that a lot of new growth is able to occur. And again, I'm talking about natural forest fires. Many of us, especially if you live in California or have lived in California, there's a lot of kind of man-made fires here that are devastating. So that's not what I'm referring to. And I'm sure that happens in other parts of the world as well. But I'm referring to the natural ones, the divine forest fires. So some of you may feel like you're in it. And it's important to remember that when we're really in something, all we can do is be in it, in a state of acceptance and allowance. And that might sound really easy to do in theory, and we may feel like we know what that means. But I feel like when push comes to shove, and our ego gets really loud, and the fear gets really loud, and the fear that tells you you're doing something wrong, and you have to fix it because this is so unpleasant that there must be something you can adjust to fix it and to like turn the intensity down. Sometimes that overpowers what we know intuitively and divinely to be true, which is the only way out is through. So the surrender and the acceptance of what is and just experiencing it is what we're here to do. And sometimes we think about divine purpose and we think about, why are we here? What are we doing here? And it's literally that. It's transmuting. It's alchemy. It's healing. And we do that through feeling. We don't do that through thinking. We don't do that through identifying and creating stories and beliefs and solidifying. The point is to shed those old layers of skin, the growth that has become overcrowded, right? The vegetation that's kind of taken over certain areas, that have kind of run wild and taken over, the ego that's taken over. The point is to let it burn through, to purify, to come back to wholeness, to come back to purity, to come back to stasis. And so when you're having the experience of this sucks, the difference between acceptance and resistance is this sucks. Okay, great. I don't suck. Because this is happening to me, it doesn't mean I did something wrong. And I'm not identifying with this sucks. I'm just noticing and observing, hey, this sucks. This doesn't feel good. Okay, what does this feel like? This feels like sorrow. This feels like shame. This feels like guilt. This feels like anger. Great. Let me experience all of those things simultaneously, holding the knowing that I am not those things, that they are just energies moving through me. Emotions are like water. They need to flow. They need to move. So they're just moving through me. I'm just allowing them to pass through me. Whereas what a lot of us do, and this is honestly all our work is, this is, as far as I'm concerned, this is all of what our work is. This is all it is not doing this. What a lot of us do is we go, oh shit, this doesn't feel good. Uh-oh. Okay, how do I fix this? Okay, what do I need to do? Okay, maybe if I change this, okay, but then, okay, and you go into the control. You go into the identification, and you find that when you identify with pain or something that's occurring within or without that you don't like, but you don't offer it that presence and that acceptance, which is the space between, you hook in and you attach. And you can find yourself feeling like you're in a state of, discomfort for days when maybe that emotion was only meant to live in you for like an hour or two, and then it was meant to pass and go along its way. And then you had just shed a layer. You'd let the forest fire burn through what was left. And then you move on. But when you hold on to it and you perseverate and you identify and you feel as if you can fix it and there's something you can do to change it, and you get obsessed with the healing, or you get obsessed with the fixing and the changing and the understanding, you can find yourself in that state. Because by the way, the second that you go up into those spaces and you're trying to fix and you're like in the thoughts, you're not in the present. And in the present, yeah, there might be sadness for you in that present moment. And so, okay, feel the sadness, feel it, right? But when you're still staying in the present, creating the space, noticing I'm really sad. That's the observer. I'm really sad. I'm feeling the sadness. I'm letting this go. This hurts. This sucks. Wow. Okay. I'm noticing, but I'm feeling and I'm feeling. And then you're like, whoa, okay. I'm actually feeling a lightness. Okay. oh my gosh, is that the sun shining through and it's been raining all day? And do I see the sun through the clouds right there? Oh, that brings me joy. Oh, that feels good. Oh, but I'm sad. Right? There's the sadness again. Here she is. Okay. It's really creating that space between. And the only way you can do that is through presence. Versus you're so much in the sadness. You're so much in the sadness. There's that sun, but you're still perseverating on the sadness. You're thinking about the sadness and you're thinking, how can I fix this? How can I change this? How can I get out of this? You can't get out of it. The only way out of it is through it, is being in it fully, allowing yourself to be transmuted, purified, burned by it, healed by it. That's the alchemy. That's the gift of fire, right? So when we're in a forest fire, we have to allow ourselves to be burned through. And I know that this medicine is challenging sometimes to understand. It's very intuitive and it's like, yeah, I know that. But sometimes when push comes to shove and we're in it, it's really hard to get ourselves into that observer and being able to create space without bypassing. Yeah, because sometimes we think we're an observer and we're actually just cutting off the emotion and not allowing ourselves to feel it, which is what creates the pattern of having it revisit us over and over and over again, where things keep happening in our lives that open that pain, that wound again and again. So the scab never quite heals because we're never quite letting it ooze. Pretty gross analogy. So sorry about that. You can blame my guides for that, but we're not just allowing it to just be and noticing, I have a wound. Here's a wound. I'm bleeding. There's blood. There's blood. Okay, there's blood. Does that mean there's something you did wrong? Are you bad? Are you to blame? Do you need to fix it? And sometimes you just have to bleed, right? There's many injuries and wounds in this analogy where you can't really get stitches. You just have to let it heal. Let it do its thing. And sometimes if you put a Band-Aid on right away, you notice that it takes a long time for that wound to heal because it doesn't get the air and it doesn't get to release, right? So you notice you have a wound a lot longer. That's an interesting analogy that they're giving me, but I mean, it really does work because it's like the second that we go, oh shit, Band-Aid, let me get the ointment, and like you keep it wet, but it doesn't, I'm sure you've all experienced that if you like have some sort of a like, and then it just doesn't really heal and you're like, what the hell? And eventually, I mean, my mom was always like, you got to take the Band-Aid off. You got to let the air, that was always her theory, is like the air, the natural air, the oxygen is gonna help heal it. And yeah, it might be harder. Like it might be more sensitive and you might have to be more conscientious and not bump it. And you might bump it sometimes and then it breaks and then it hurts and you're like, oh God. So there's a process, right? But that's the forest fire. This is such a funny analogy. I love when they take me into these weird spaces I didn't expect to go, especially because I don't have much knowledge of like wounds and any of that. So allowing ourselves to feel and being in that present moment of the feeling and allowing it to be okay. The second that we go into judgment and we make ourselves wrong and we try to fix or control or blame, create a story, that's the moment that we hold on to the emotion, that we hold on to the pain. And the emotion is literally like think of the emotion as like a little fairy. And it's just a little fairy and it's coming in to bless and to heal and to do what it's supposed to do. And the fairy's like, hey, I got people to see. You're locking me in here. Like I'm stuck in your body now and I want to get out. And they're like trying to go move along and they have their little path that they're supposed to fly along to. And you go, ah, shit, there's a fairy. What's going on? These analogies are hysterical. But it's meant to move. It's meant to flow, right? You're not meant to hold on to it and make it mean a bunch of things and get stuck in it, right? And I think the fear, the big thing that the ego tells us in trying to get us to not allow ourselves to just feel it is the ego is like, you're going to feel this forever. And the irony in that, I don't know if irony is the right word, but the funny thing about that is when the ego takes over and the ego's like, oh, we don't want to feel that and we lock it off, we actually then do have to feel it over and over and over again because the universe is constantly has our back. Our higher self has our back. The soul is always trying to get us to, get to that place, to release it, to alchemize. And so it's not because the universe hates us. It's not because God hates us. It's not because we're being punished. It's that we're being held high. We're being gently pushed into that higher timeline, even if it doesn't feel gentle. So when we cling, when we clasp on and attach, that's actually what creates the pain and the suffering. The pain and the suffering is not from the feeling. And the ego says, oh, you're going to feel this forever and you're never going to feel good again. But I can attest to the fact that once you really do allow it to flow out of you without that attachment and without that clamping down, that is this divine peace that I keep talking about. And sometimes I feel like some of you guys get it, and sometimes I feel like you guys don't get it, but you think you get it. Because I'm telling you, like, and I know some of you are here because I've had these conversations, but I know, I think sometimes we think we're in a place and we're not. And like quite literally, because I've gone through this alchemical forest fire over and over and over again, wanting to die, wanting to die, wanting to die, letting myself die, letting myself die, letting myself die, letting myself die. The wound isn't, I can't even see the scar anymore. I know it's there, but I can't really see it. Right? It doesn't get opened up in the usual ways, whatever they are for you. Some of us, it's our twin, right? Some of us, it's maybe our family, childhood, whatever. You'll notice that the charge just completely goes away. So when some of you ask me, is this ever going to stop? Am I ever going to like feel peace? I'm like, yes, but you're not going to feel it with that mindset of that control, of that getting to a timeline, getting to an outcome, seeking, right? And we've all been taught that. And especially in spiritual communities, there's this idea of like healing, and we constantly need to be in a state of healing. Well, guess what? There's a lot of people making money on that. So be mindful. You don't need to be in this constant state of healing. You don't need anything, actually. You don't need anything but yourself and your willingness to feel and to go there. This is what we're here doing. This is what we're here to teach others. This is why the twin flame journey is so special, because it keeps us on track, even if we want to run away. And a lot of people you see on a spiritual journey that aren't on a twin flame journey, they'll get off the journey for like 4 years, right? They'll just be like, I want to go back into hiding. And then they'll, maybe find their way back again when they're ready. But it's like, it takes longer and it's harder, right? Somebody can sit in therapy for like 10 years and get, 2 years worth of work in there, right? Whereas a twin flame journey, it's like, you just aren't really given many options. You're in it, you're in it, you're in it. There's no getting off. And it's not even about this other person. It's about this transmuting and healing and alchemy and sovereignty and the energy and the frequency that you then inject and invoke into the collective that empowers, that heals, that transmutes. I mean, there's a lot of darkness going on right now. There's a lot of darkness in the collective. There's like an escalation in crime. There's a lot of death, a lot of pain, a lot of suffering. And believe it or not, like spirit is showing me in very specific, real ways how clearly these twin flame connections, these souls, these unified souls coming to this planet at this time, how we are transmuting that, how we are healing that and shifting that profoundly. And with this type of love on the planet, that type of suffering, that type of pain, that type of deception, that type of brutality ceases to exist, right? That's what we're doing. But we don't have to think of it in that big way if we don't want to, unless it empowers you. It always empowers me. So my guides remind me of that a lot. But if it doesn't empower you, that's fine. Just remind yourself, you're just here to evolve. We are here evolving humanity. We are growing. We are shifting. We are moving out of these old paradigms, which are very much about the control base, right? The healing, the manifestation groups. Oh my God, the manifestation. I'm manifesting $5,000. It's so connected to seeking and control and playing God. And, we didn't know any better. And you know what? It worked. It worked in this old timeline that we're all closing out of, that cycle. It totally worked, right? It's not going to work for you anymore because we've evolved. We've evolved past that. Gaia herself has evolved past that. She's like, I don't support that anymore, right? And it's why we're going to see all these control groups start to crumble and really freak the fuck out and panic and lose their power, because the magic, if you will, that they're using is not aligned to the frequency of Gaia anymore. It doesn't work. Just doesn't work. And when we're really stubborn and when we're really caught up in our ways, we can't even see past that, and especially when you talk about like groupthink. So if there's a whole collective that really believes that their magic works and that what they're doing is right, and you know how it's done, then their egos are so blown out of proportion that they're not even going to be able to see, like, hey, by the way, I think the ship is sinking. Hey, there's water up to my knees here. I think the ship is sinking. And it's like, you know, I mean, anywho, that's a different conversation, but I think you guys understand. I think you get where I'm going with this. So we're guided to not be those people. We're pushed. We are literally yanked out of our ego delusions and stupor, and you know, I think of like A Clockwork Orange, and like our eyelids are just peeled back and forced to see, even if we don't want to. That's essentially, you know, what happens on these journeys. And what you're looking at and what you're seeing is yourself, right? And it's very easy to always blame it on the other person and to project, oh, my parents did this to me, my childhood was like this. And there's weight in that, there's gold in that, there's work in that, right? There's a necessary, you know, time in your journey of healing where you do need to do work, right? Therapy is highly beneficial, right? Counseling, all of it, they can be very beneficial. It's when you get stuck in it, when you don't allow yourself to evolve out of it. It's attachment. So when we're in a state of acceptance and surrender and flow, we move naturally, right? And on these journeys, if we're in a state of stagnancy and we've been stuck for a little bit too long in a place, these journeys through the divine, through our twins, through events, through other things, come in and give us a kick in the butt to get moving, to get flowing again. Yeah. Okay. I think that's all I have for you. I hope it's helpful. I hope it supports. I know these concepts can be really hard at times, and it's like when we're in it, it's hard. When we're not in it, we're like, yeah, I get that. Great. That resonates. Perfect. Everything's flowing. I'm in peace right now. Right. And then, like, you know, 2 weeks later, you're like, oh, fuck, my world is crumbling. Again, forest fire, like it's part of it. It's just part of it. It's part of it. It's part of it. It's the natural flow. And this is a gift that we're offering humanity. This really is a gift. It's that powerful. It's that important. This is a gift. This is our gift. And this is going to change. It is changing. It is changing so much on the planet. It really is. And anything you see that looks like, anything you're looking at in the world that breaks your heart, that cuts you open, that hurts, that feels gross, that feels icky, that makes you angry, just know that this energy is shifting that. And you're being shown that, and you're feeling that like frustration and despair because your guides are trying to show you that, like, you're here to change this, right? It's bigger than you think. And it's not like you're here to change this by like starting a foundation and going out there on the front lines. No, it's inside out. I wish the Hopi Indian prophecy, and I can't remember the chief's name right now. It just, I've been aware of it for a while, but it just, I saw it pop up in my feed recently. And he was talking about the bifurcation. And I was like, wow, isn't that so brilliant? Like this, because I don't remember how long ago this prophecy was, but he's basically talking about this time now and how the bifurcation occurs and we shift. And a lot of humans go down this path of humanity, which I call the eighth sphere, right? And they get stuck in, you know, AI and the metaverse and all this. And, you know, they don't heal because they're in the spiritual materialism and just the materialism in general, where they believe all that exists is what I see and what's outside of me. It's a spiritual immaturity. It's a spiritual naivety. And the projection of that. And then there's this other group, the bifurcation, where they heal and they transmute, but they do it from the inside out. They do the inner work, and it starts to shift their outer worlds. And yeah, maybe they have to wait longer. Yeah, maybe they do. And that's why 2023 feels so powerful and big, because so many of us feel like we've been waiting a long time for our ships to come in, right? We've been doing the work, and working with our acceptance and our surrender and our trust and our faith. And just, you know, at times we get angry and frustrated and we're like, where are my blessings? Where's my manifestations? What's going on? And at times we're just straight up fucking confused. We're not even angry. We're just like, I don't get it. what's going on, right? And I see this powerful energy this year, like the forecast of this year, the energy is very 3D, meaning it's very physical world, manifestations, shifts and changes. And that is that bifurcation. Anyways, check out the Hopi prophecy if you're interested. Unless you probably already aware of it. It's funny because I saw it a long time ago, and I remember feeling like, oh, this is powerful, and it resonated, but I didn't quite understand it because I wasn't in that energy yet. I couldn't comprehend it fully. And so to see it again now recently, I was like, oh my God, that's literally all that I've been studying and all that I've been noticing energetically. And this is something I probably saw maybe when I was like even a teenager, I think I saw. I don't know. It's definitely been a long time. But anywho, I think that's all I have for you. Okay. My beautiful Patreon community, you guys, we have a lot of exciting things coming up in the next few months. And I just can't wait to get in a flow with you all and have more connection. And yeah, I'm going to be doing like live readings for you. So anybody that wants to tune in to join, you can get kind of personal readings, but within the group space, which always changes the dynamic. So that's always fun. So we'll be doing things like that, Q&As and support and coffee chats, all the things. I'm just excited to kind of see where it flows and where it goes. And I'm getting the downloads that I need now to birth these for you all. But as I work completely in the higher realm, I don't have any information other than the intentions. And then we'll see what happens. But thank you all so much for being here. The support in this community, the love in this community is more than I could ever imagine. It's pretty special. It's pretty incredible, actually, because so much of the online spheres, especially in spiritual communities, are really icky and with no judgment. But so thank you all for not being icky. Thank you for being so beautiful and loving and supporting each other, and the fact that you guys are connecting outside of here. And I know you are, because I'm hearing about it, and I just love that so much. My books are open for now. Like I said, I wanted to give you heads up. I will be doing price changes coming soon, as well as I think shifting some things in terms of my one-on-ones. I'm getting that guidance. So we will see what pans out. I think what it's going to look like is an elimination of a lot of different types of sessions and having it just be kind of like this one session, because it's been so streamlined that like, this is what I do, and this is how spirit wants to work through me. And that doesn't mean that Reiki won't come through here, or that an Akashic reading won't come through here, but it's all going to be done through this one template. That's kind of what spirit's been working on with me, is like, they're like, this is how we want to use you. So listen up. So just giving you that heads up in case there was something that you wanted to book before I shift that. Like for example, well, I won't get into details, but some of the sessions might be going away. So, but I'm sending you all a lot of love, a big hug. Thank you for being here. And I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful day. And I'll be back soon as guided, as you all know. Oh, and if I don't come back on for a full moon guidance transmission or reading, happy full moon. This Cancer full moon feels really special. So enjoy it. All right. Bye.